would consider myself an optimistic person, but I'm also a realist, which means I take into consideration the possibilities of what rheumatoid arthritis can ultimately do to my body and to my quality of life. I'm going to be a little bit honest and open in this video today about my thoughts and my feelings that have occurred over the last few weeks. I haven't posted a video in a while because I've been doing some traveling. It's just sometimes really hard to refocus my attention back to filming videos and to sharing my experience. I'm used to this process, but I'm not used to sharing specifically about my health and mobility challenges. Just in the last 2 weeks, I've been able to go to the grocery store without my cane, which is absolutely incredible, and I'm so thankful for that. It also puts me into a mindset of being a realist, like even during the moments I was in the wheelchair and really struggling to walk, I still had a positive attitude and still had hope for a remission and hope for being able to find a medication that would work for me. My positivity has not escaped me as things are improving. It's just that I'm still a realist and I still am aware of the potential for a relapse, a flare. Also, I'm aware that if I get some type of an infection, like a sinus infection or something, I can't take my medicine. And then if I don't take my medicine, then it sets me back. So it's kind of like a very delicate balance, between these two realities. I think I mentioned this before in another video, how I love the Everyday Health website, specifically about rheumatoid arthritis, and I highly recommend that you sign up for their newsletter, specifically about RA, because every time I get their email, it's just fantastic. In one of the articles recently, it said, relapses are inevitable. Again, this is facing reality for me. Eventually, nearly everyone who has RA will experience a relapse. It can occur if you stop taking your medication. I don't plan on doing that. But it can also happen if you're just doing everything exactly as you should, because your body can become resistant to a particular medication. I'm super thankful that, I was able to go to the grocery store. It's kind of funny how I would use going to the grocery store as my measurement for how well I'm doing, but it's something that is so basic to, my everyday life. So that's kind of what, and plus that's what I do. I'm the primary person that shops and cooks in our household. For me to be able to do something so basic like going to the grocery store without my cane is just amazing. For several weeks, maybe a couple of months, I was only using grocery pickups. And that's super convenient. I realize a lot of people use that type of service because it does save you a lot of time. For me personally, I like to pick out my own vegetables and my own fruits. I am doing better and I'm super thankful for it. It's just that it's a catch-22. It's like, I'm aware of what can happen, and it's very difficult for us to put that out of our mind. So one of the things that's super frustrating about having rheumatoid arthritis is because whenever you tell someone that that's what you have, they immediately think it's osteoarthritis. I just don't believe that the name justifies the actual symptoms. How this affects our lifestyle and our everyday life in such a dramatic way, it doesn't explain it. As soon as someone hears that I have rheumatoid arthritis, they immediately think that means osteoarthritis. And then they're like, well, aren't you too young for that? Well, I guess there aren't very many 42-year-olds that have osteoarthritis. So, I guess I could get that. But there's just a lot of assumptions that come along with how someone appears. I actually do have a disability, but I don't appear that way. And so it's just this whole other layer of a challenge that is super frustrating. It just kind of comes with it. These different type of scenarios, these are things we can't help. I just think that no matter how you look or what your age is, the whole rheumatoid arthritis name just doesn't fit. So I had to look this up. There are other conditions or diseases over the years or decades where the name has been changed. Maybe one day this would happen for us. I don't know. There have been several instances where other diseases have changed their name to avoid confusion, reduce stigma, and better reflect the scientific understanding. So for example, Lou Gehrig's disease. This is also known as ALS. While Lou Gehrig's disease is a widely recognized name in the US, especially due to famous baseball player Lou Gehrig who had it, the medical community predominantly uses ALS, which makes sense. Hansen's disease, previously known as leprosy. The name was changed to Hansen's disease to reduce the stigma associated with the condition. Number 3, Graves' disease. This autoimmune disorder affecting the thyroid was previously known as, I can't even pronounce that word. It is now named after Robert Graves, who described the condition. Another one is Reiter's syndrome. This condition is a form of reactive arthritis and is now more commonly referred to reactive arthritis. The name was changed partly to dissociate from Reiter, who was involved in unethical practices during World War II. Wow, interesting. Number 5, Mongolism. This outdated term for Down syndrome was replaced with the current terminology to respect the dignity of those with the condition and to use a name that is more scientifically accurate. And number 6, consumption. This historical term for tuberculosis was replaced with the current name as the medical understanding of the disease improved. In this particular explanation, it's talking about social attitudes. And so that's basically what I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing what society deems is the definition of what I'm saying. It's also about appearance, but it's also about what the disease is. So it's shifting social attitudes and a desire to use more precise and less stigmatizing terminology. Discussions about potential name change similarly aim to reduce confusion with osteoarthritis and improve public understanding of the disease. If the name change could actually be accomplished, it would reduce the public's association with osteoarthritis and ultimately improve public understanding of the disease. And, ultimately, it's not only about, for our group of people, our community that has this disease, for us to actually have understanding, but it's also about shedding light on helping other people get diagnosed. Because before I was diagnosed with this, I wasn't even familiar with it. It was something completely new to me. And even when I was first told the name during my diagnosis appointment, I didn't even know what I was up against. I had no idea. So it's not just about helping us live a better life where people understand what we're going through and actually have some empathy, but it's also about public awareness for proper diagnosis. This is just something that has been on my mind recently, and I wanted to share it because it's difficult. It's not fair at all. And also, I've heard of people with RA who have a handicap card and they park in a parking place, that they can sometimes get harassed by people in public because they'll just say, "You're not sick enough to have this parking spot." But then how am I supposed to respond? I say, "I'm sorry, I have rheumatoid arthritis," and that person literally hears,
"I have osteoarthritis."
And then they're really going to be so confused and get so angry. I don't want sympathy. That's not my intention. I do not want people to feel sorry for me. But empathy is a totally different scenario where they're putting themselves in your shoes or they're understanding exactly what you're going through. And that is super important. Yeah, it's not just about for our community to have and receive empathy, but it's also for public awareness, and it's not highly understood, and I really believe that needs to change. I don't know how we can get this done, but give me some comments below of ideas or maybe names that you'd like to change it to. I've heard of someone calling it rheumatoid autoimmune disease. Hey, I think that sounds so much better when you take the word arthritis out of it, because it's not just arthritis. Again, I'm an optimist. I'm so positive about everything, and I'm so thankful and grateful for my recent improvements. I'm so thankful for that. It gives me hope. I still do deal with pains, and I think I mentioned that in a previous video about the 5 things. So the first one's pain level. How is that? The next one is mobility status. My mobility is better. The pain comes and goes. The other one is fever and flu-like symptoms. I actually started having a little bit of that yesterday, but again, it comes and goes. The other one is fatigue, and if I'm feeling super tired, and that's actually been okay lately. And then the last one is emotional, and how well are you accepting everything? I'm doing better in that department as well, but it's still, it feels like I have these 2 conflicting things going on in my brain, because I'm really happy that I'm getting around better, but then I'm also worried about is the next shoe gonna drop, and am I gonna have a flare or something? So Yeah, it's just like, again, like I said before, it's a delicate balance that we deal with. So, I hope that maybe you can resonate with some of the things I've said in this video, and maybe you're going through the same thing. And again, when you go through such a difficult disease or chronic illness, it's just a lot to process. You just have to kind of like process it. And every day and every moment is so different. Like your morning can be completely different than your afternoon or evening. I'm thankful that you're here, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.